Ethiopia's Orthodox Tewahedo Church is one of the largest and oldest in Africa, but there has been a split within its ranks after 3 bishops formed their own patriarchate they named Oromia, and Nations and Nationalities Synod in January. Unrest, divisions and violence has led to the death of at least 30 people. So what's behind the crisis, and why are bishops bickering? Let's find out in this next report. Violence erupted against a backdrop of tensions in the ancient Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church after rebel bishops created their own synod in Oromia, the country's most populous region. At least 8 people died in the attacks on a church in southern Ethiopia early February. The unity of the Ethiopian church, one of the oldest in the world, has been under threat since last month's move by rebel clergy. The Ethiopian church accounts for about 40% of the country's 115 million population, headed by Patriarch Abune Matthias for over a decade. It has declared the breakaway group illegal and excommunicated the bishops involved. The Holy Synod had called for peaceful protests at churches at home and abroad.
The Holy Synod has postponed the February 12th peaceful demonstration for an indefinite period of time, not because of a change of position, but because of the government's agreement and decision to solve the problem immediately within the deadline set by the Church, which opened its doors for peace. The Church has also accused the government of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of interfering in its affairs and making comments that effectively recognize the illegitimate group.
Abiy, who is himself from the Oromo community, had called for the rivals to engage in dialogue and said both sides have their own truths. The breakaway bishops accused the church of discrimination and linguistic and cultural hegemony. They say congregations in Oromia are not served in their native language, claims rejected by the patriarchate. Orthodox leaders have long complained of persecution, including the burning of churches, and ties with the government have been tense in the past, including over the Tigray conflict.
For the last 6 months, I have not had any chance for the media to convey my message. I have been prevented from speaking for the last 6 months. This is because of fear and influence. I have said nothing until now. I was afraid to aggravate the case.
The Ethiopian state has traditionally maintained close ties to the Orthodox Church, to which more than 40% of the population adheres. Ethiopian authorities have previously shut down or even restricted access to the internet during periods of political unrest, including a response to protests in 2020 that followed the killing of a popular singer from Oromia. Internet and phone communications were also shut down in the northern Tigray region for most of a 2-year war that ended in a ceasefire in November last year. Oromia, home to Ethiopia's largest ethnic group, has expanded violent conflict for many years, part of wider unrest in Ethiopia, a multi-ethnic country where power has long been contested between federal and regional authorities. Late last year, Oromo people held festivals in Ethiopia's capital to denounce armed militants and government forces fighting in several locations in the region.
As I think, it is all the governments and other organs. They have to come together, they discuss the problem between them. As I think that is the solution. There is no solution or there is no peace that comes with the fighting or guns. So, as I think, discussion together is the solution.
Currently, there is vast repression on the Oromo people. However, the Oromo people are not surrendering to it. We are overcoming oppression and securing freedom.
The guns have now fallen silent after a peace deal signed in November last year between the government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. But fighting has continued in Oromia, a region haunted by a long-running insurgency. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.